Alright, so this video on the Mitutoyo CMM is kind of walking you around some of the MCOSMOS software. So generally when you start the software up, it's going to look something like that. Your directory box will pop up. Let's go through some of these tabs over here. Now again, if we just hover, stop moving and hover, you see the exit sign, log in. So if you ain't sure which button it is you need to press, just sit there and hover over it for a second. So let's talk about here. So first button, we're going to go down the left side, create a new part. Alright, it's going to ask you to name it. I'm just going to name it Todd Video, because I'm going to get rid of it later. So I hit OK. It puts it in our directory. It puts it at the bottom. Alright, if I want to change the part name, you know what? I didn't want to call it video. I wanted to call it Todd Video CMM Software. Evidently, it will not let me name it, but so many letters. That's fine. So we won't call it Todd Video CMM. Change the name. So that's what that button does. Copy it. Let's just say that Kevin has got this awesome NIMS Mill program he's written, and it really looks good, but I want to make a few changes. So I can highlight it, and I can copy it. What do I want to name it? Let's just say I want to name it Todd Stolen Program. And hit OK. Alright, where did it put it? Todd Stolen Program. It's exactly the same thing as his, but now I've renamed it and I want to make some edits on it. Alright. So I don't want to do that, even though I have in the past. Let's go down to the next icon. Right, change, copy, mark. I'm not worried about marking the parts yet. Delete it. Well, I feel bad about it. I shouldn't have stole this program. I'm going to delete it. You sure you want to delete it? Yes. So now I'm back on it's whatever's highlighted is what you're going to be working into. This gets into the sort part list. You can sort it by name, alphabetical, or different methods. Second part, don't worry about it. Change part directory, let's don't fool with it. Backup part directory, don't worry about it, your teachers will do that. Notepad, in case you want to take some notes. And this button, picture and sound. This is pretty cool. You can add picture and sound to your program. So let's, and this is just a very basic way of doing it. Let's go in here to pictures. Let's just say that picture right there is a layout of a part I want to do, so I'm going to hit OK. Don't worry, you can do this within Learn Mode also. So if you notice the little icon over here, that you can't see it, don't really make any sense, but it means that there's a picture or sound associated. The little machine, if it's a little machine in there, that means you've actually got a part. You went through Learn Mode, and you've actually got a part that you can fire it up and repeat it. If there's nothing in there, that means it's nothing saved. So we haven't done anything, so it's nothing in there. All right, starting going up here, exit. I don't use this. I'd rather use this exit button right here. For God's sake, don't ever press log in. This computer is terrible about sometimes it'll ask you to log in, sometimes it won't. Hopefully when you fire it up, it's already logged in, but don't log out. Part program editor. That is, so what editor, learn, and repeat are the three modes that we're going to use pretty much going forward. Editor, you can go in there, and we'll get into that later in another video about how we can edit programs. Learn, we're going to talk a lot about today. Repeat is just basically putting, like on a CNC machine, putting it in MEM and hitting cycle start. That's what repeat mode does. Cat 1000 is when you got another layer that you can run the CMM off of. You can actually load in a CAD model and pick on the model that you want to measure this feature, and the machine will drive to that feature and measure it. We're not going to get into that in this class. If you go to third year, they will use it a lot over there. It's just a higher level of being able to measure something off of the model rather than physically driving it around. Protocol manager, I won't get into it right now. System manager, that's where we'll get into another video later. You can build your CMM, build your probes, so forth. So let's just start off right here in learn mode. Now, I've got to be careful. I'm in the Todd video CMM, which I'm going to delete later. So it pops up with my preloaded machine in. The first three screens we talked about, we kind of enter through. Thermal compensation, if you want to use it, this is where you would. Do you want 5 decimal places? And do you want to use the wizard? Just yes, because we like 5 decimal places right here. It's actually 6, but anyway. And this is what probe we're using. Kevin graciously qualified the probe when we first got it. Quite frankly, I'm not going to worry a lot about probes right now. We'll get into another video on how we build probes, but we're just going to use this. So again, the first 3 boxes you just enter through. So if you notice, everything you do, it's recording. Learn mode is kind of like a screen recording or a capture mode or whatever you want to call it. So the big things that we're going to use is these in the yellow. Lines, circles, planes, cones. We may use a little bit of that. A little bit of spheres. Cylinders like a board, yeah, we will. And freeform surface, we won't be using hardly any of that. Then the other one is angle, distance along a probing direction. I don't use that one a lot. These two I do. So let's just take some hits. So what we'll do, let's just a simple circle. We just brought it up here. We're going to throw a circle. We're going to get a circle of a part laying on the table. Circle. So here it's telling us, asking us, it's going to remember that it's circle 1. It's going to store it in the memory as 1. Number of points, we can change this. 4 points is kind of the standard for a circle. We want to use, it looks like a thermometer, but it's the ruby tip on the probe. That means we're going to measure the circle. We can do a connection element to create a circle. We can do a memory recall. We can do a theoretical element. We can fit an element. We can intersection element. We can construct it from a cone. We can construct it from a sphere. And there's other methods. We don't want to do that. 98.9% of the time we're going to be using the ruby tip to measure the circle. This button, XY plane, typically it's going, whatever we're doing here, when we go to do another circle, it's going to remember these same settings. So if I change one setting, the next time you do a circle, it's going to be just like the one we changed it to. This is measure automatic. There's some automatic methods in there. This one is, it'll throw out a tolerance on there. Later on when we get into programs at the higher end of it, we will. But if we just want to know a circle, we just click, we don't cut that on. Graphics of measure, it'll show the graphic of where it measured. Yeah, I like that. Loop counter, automatic element repetition, measure voice command, automatic element finish, projection plane. You see, and then even over here you've got minimum circumstance. So right now it's set up to the mean dimension of it. You can set it to the minimum inscribed element. You can set it to the maximum inscribed element. You can set it to the minimum zone element. So within just the simple circle routine, you've got all these parameters that you can change. For the most part, we're going to leave it here. We may get into the automatic, and we may get into tolerancing later. 4 is what I like. Now, this is so important to remember, name. When you're measuring 4 or 5 items, it's not going to make that big a difference. But if you're measuring 128 circles on this part, you're going to get real confused when you start looking through your readout on which circle is wrong. If you've got 1 out of 38 circles in the red, and you're trying to figure out which one it was, if you don't have a good name for them, it's going to be really confusing. So you may even label your blueprint 1 through 38. You may say left front. Whatever you name it is how it's going to appear in the results. So you can quickly find which one is wrong and associate it to which part it is on your part. So when you hit OK, now it's telling you I'm going to measure a circle. I'm waiting on hit 1 out of 4 because I set it at 4. If we set it at 3, it'd be 1 of 3. If we set it at 8, it'd be 1 of 8. So, which you can't see this, I'm just going to drive it down here and take some hits, which put it in the measure mode. Now it's waiting on hit 2. All right, once it gets it, it's going to throw out some information up here. It's telling you you measured it in the mean setting. It called it the left front. This is where it's going to stick your description at. It's also the first circle that you've hit with this program, so it's naturally going to be 1. Gives you the X, Y, and Z layout. We didn't do an alignment, so these are machine coordinates. Later on, when we do alignments, you'll see these change to your X, Y in relation to your origin. The D, it's a 1.00259 diamond circle. The little d is how far out of being a perfect circle it is. N's number of hits. It took 4. Let's just say we want to do another circle. This time we want to cut on the tolerance. If you see, it preloads number 2 because the machine says, I already got number 1 in my memory, so this has got to be 2. This one is going to be the right front. When I click OK, and again, it's waiting on hit 1 of 4. Measure 1 to maybe go a little bit quicker. And you can't see what I'm measuring. All right, so as soon as it calculated the circle, now it's asking you, it's got a tolerance block. This is good if you're going to write a program that you'll be using to measure multiple items. My diameter was 437.47. Let's just say my nominal was 0.4375, 7/16. My upper tolerance was 0.001. My lower tolerance was minus 0.001. And that's the diameter which is checked. The radius, I don't want to display the radius, so I'm going to uncheck that. So it grays it out. If I wanted to put my location and I had an origin, I could put the X, Y, Z, whatever, where it's located and the tolerance on that. But because I'm just measuring a circle, I'm not going to have that. So when I hit OK, so here's my first block, circle 2, right front, It actually measured 43747. My tolerance block is next. That's my target plus minus 1. And being that it's 43747, which is 3 not 10 thousandths, smaller than 10 thousandths. It's almost dead in the middle. So that means my green bar is good, and I'm just barely away from the middle of nominal. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's call this back, no, right back. Be right back. Again, number 3, I'm going to tell it a tolerance block. Okay, it's waiting on hit 1 of 4. I'm just going to pick another random circle. And start measuring. Right. Okay, now it's asking me for another tolerance block, because you want to tolerance every dimension you take if you're writing a program to measure multiples of parts. So again, it is 43765. It's going to leave whatever you put in there for the last tolerance block. Let's say this one right here was a lot tighter one. So it was 0.0001. So it had to be lapped minus . Okay? Ooh, look at there. Red is bad. Red is bad. If it goes all the way to the end on either side, it's going to be bad. And I can only go 4374 to 4376. I was 4376.5. So I was a half a tenth over tolerance. Bam, red. That means I can quickly look at this report whenever I print it, that it is a bad dimension right there. So when we start checking some of y'all's parts on a few of them that we already got programs, and we see a bunch of red, a lot of times we'll just, okay, well, you know, each red bar means you got 2 points off. I counted 10, so you got 80 on your project, because I counted 10 red bars. 10 times 2 is 20, you got 80. Okay? All right, so again, it's building up through here. Now, let's just say I want to measure the distance from this circle to this circle. I can come in here and do a distance. I want to measure a distance. It's going to be the first one because it's the first distance I've checked. From circle to circle, from right back to left front. Let's just say I want left front to right front. And again, it's got all these parameters. We want XY plane. Don't worry about the no compensation. Anyway, we hit OK. It's going to give you somewhat of a dimension before you hit OK. So there's your dimension. It is 6.2923 between, oh, I didn't show it up on here. Oh yeah, left front to right front. So again, when you start doing distances and you're picking out circle 3 and 9, it gets a little confusing if you don't put in names of where you're going. Let's do a line. Let's just measure. Let's call this the left line. And I don't want any automatic, I don't want any tolerance. So now it's waiting on hit 1 of 3. It's telling me I'm doing the line. I'm going to go over to the left side, and I'm just going to go hit 3 points. And I'm establishing my left line of my part. Now, if I want to do a distance from my left line, to, let's do my left front. Okay, it is 0.54137. All right, so once we leave this, we're done with this. It's just a little quick overview of software. And you see there's multitudes of other icons we can use. I'm just kind of going over the quick ones. I want to save this part program. Now it's got a picture and it's got a program. If I want to repeat this program, it takes a minute. Don't get in a hurry. Mitutoyo CMM, save data for relearn, inch. You should just be able to hit OK. Now, if you look, all of this is the stuff we did before. So now it's like, okay, I'm waiting on hit 104. I don't have to go back and click all these buttons that was up here. It recorded all of it. Now it's just telling me what I want to do. Now, for right now, that's all we're going to be getting into. But when we get into more advanced programming, we can actually, when we repeat it, put the part down and press start, and it'll just take off running. And we don't have to even touch the joysticks. It'll run. It'll create a report. Stick the next part in. Click OK. It'll run. Create a report. So on and so forth. All right. So let's X this out, and because I'm in the middle, it's kind of like I'm in the middle of running a program. We got to stop it first. Now I can X out. Why don't you X out? Cancel. Cancel. There we go. So that concludes a very basic beginning of using the CMM software for measuring.